I hate my job. I just want to be free. Many of us have experienced this feeling, this thought, this idea, and not many of us act on it. But regardless of where you stand in life and your career specifically, before you abandon ship, let's get a few things in order for more clarity and confidence to make a more informed career decision that are also in alignment with you. Welcome back to the Keys podcast. My name is Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lilly. This show is all about unlocking the best you and opening the path to career freedom. And before we take a deep dive into today's topic, I just want to say thank you and express my gratitude to those that are listening to the show. Yes, I obsess over the data, but it's not everything. I believe in community first, but I want to say thank you because I did take a long hiatus from weekly episodes because I was a terrible planner. My time management was terrible. Everything was off, but that's why I brought the show back in the fall of 2025, although it's still technically summer, but don't worry about that. I said August, we're coming back and we are here. So thank you again for those who have been listening from day one to now. If you're a new listener, thank you all. I appreciate your time, your patience, and your willingness to show up each and every week. So let's jump into today's episode. And if you want to work with me or have any questions for me, just email thekeyswork@gmail.com. Okay, let's get started. Over the years, as I've been building my coaching business as well as running my own transaction coordination business, I've found that speaking to many of you, whether it was through a discovery call or a one-on-one coaching session, short-term, long-term, the common theme for many of you when I ask, why do you want to quit your job to work in real estate? You all say, I would say about 99 to 95% say freedom. Freedom from the rat race, the hamster wheel, from their boss, all of it. And I can relate. I was once in that place where I was at my 9 to 5 miserable, but I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't know how to quit that version of me to then catapult or at least inch my way towards this new version of me that was going to carry on a new career, a new mindset. But what I did know for sure is I had to start. And once many of you start a career in real estate, it could be anything, honestly. If you want to get into baking, cooking, fashion, you realize and start learning the ins and outs of the work, and you may want to run away. That 9 to 5 might not look so bad after all, okay? Can you relate? And anything new is going to be a challenge. And that's a challenge I want us all to be willing to face on a daily basis, because the reward is worth it. Because many of you listen to my show from the real estate world and are real estate professionals or seeking a career in real estate, I'm going to use a lot of real estate references. So if you're someone coming to listen to this show wanting to shift their careers, but it doesn't really relate to real estate, don't worry. The examples I use will still apply to any position in the world, if not most of them. And if you have a specific question about what I'm talking about or want to schedule a consultation with me, again, I'll repeat my email. It is thekeyswork@gmail.com. And you can also visit the Keys podcast. Let's go back to the topic of running away. So we have this idea, I want to quit my job. Okay, then do it. But then now what? The money's not coming in. The job or the career, the business I wanted to get into that I had fantasized about at work when I was stuck at my 9 to 5 or that I'd been taking courses for is a lot harder than I had imagined. And it really isn't what I want to do, but I'm going to pursue it anyway and see what happens. And that's okay, because we evolve as humans, as people. And that includes we evolve with the way we think and how we operate and who we surround ourselves with. And if real estate and transaction coordination isn't for you, then I at least want you to let go of this plan with more power to pursue what it is you are actually meant to do. Because rejection is real. And we hype ourselves up thinking that this is our only opportunity, it's the only chance I have, especially as we get older. I recently turned 41, so I understand the pressure and the urgency to figure life out, right? But in reality, I look at it as several opportunities to try a bunch of things. If you're on the verge of quitting your job, or maybe you're unemployed, or you already quit your job, you have so many opportunities and so much time to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. But before we get messy and do all those things, there is a better way that I suggest, and we're going to get into that right now. When I first started working in real estate, I didn't ever imagine a life where I was creating content or hosting a podcast or even becoming a full-time coach and offering sessions and consulting and discovery calls. Like, that was not in my trajectory even 5 years ago. I was just kind of winging it. And with a lot of work and deep work internally, whether it was through therapy, coaching, and simply just taking action on something I said I was going to do, regardless of the outcome, I learned a lot about myself. And I'm going to share some tips on ways that you can execute this time in your life to feel a lot more fearless as you go into the next phases of your life. And in recent years, my mantra has been, do the thing to get to the thing. It's a simple mantra. Feel free to use it on yourself when you're feeling discouraged or feeling like nothing's going to work out. Do the thing to get to the thing. Notice I didn't say anything specific. I just said the thing. You insert whatever the thing is, but the thing is going to be the thing. And the thing needs to get done. Okay? So if you're still with me, then let's get started. Okay? These are a few ways that you can get to know yourself and approach career transition with a more fearless approach. I'm only going to focus on 5 of them today, but we can elaborate and open up this dialogue for future episodes, whether it's a solo episode or if I bring on a guest, because I think it's important to just start building that foundation. Whether you're at your 9 to 5, you've quit, you're unemployed, or you've started that business, but you just still feel lost. I'm going to name them, number 1 through 5 being success, identity, hobbies, personality, and money. Success. And feel free to grab a pen and paper, pause this episode, come back, take out your notes app, whatever you need to do. Bookmark this episode, come back and listen to it. But success. Define what success is for you in this season of your life. For me, success is always meeting my basic needs and now finally tackling my debt for the next 6 to 12 months. Previously, success was making X amount of money, saving X amount of money, being able to work from home. And now that I've achieved those things, I know how to maintain them. And when things get difficult, I know how to maneuver myself out of those situations and work on the things that need the most urgent care in order to maintain this lifestyle. So now that I've done the thing to get to the thing, I can now focus on what is actually my definition of success today as a 41-year-old. My definition of success at 35 is way different than it is today. At 35, it was a lot more luxurious, opulent, because in my mind at 35, I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to buy all these types of cars, own these houses. And 6 years later, I realized I had so much work to do on myself that once I finally got over those humps, I didn't want any of that crap. Okay, A to Z, A to B. I just need to get to A to B on a daily basis and get out of survival mode. So my definition of success varies, but what is your definition of success in this season of your life? Take your time to answer that question. It'll help you out a lot. Next, identity. So imagine this statement and let me know or think about what's coming to mind and what's happening. If I'm not working, who am I? When I'm alone, who am I? Many of us tie our career to our entire identity. And if we don't have that job and it all falls apart, we get fired, we quit, we retire, or go do something else completely opposite of that job, we lose sight of who we are because we never defined what success was. We never figured out why we were doing this in the first place. I realized, I would say in this last year, 2025, that transaction coordination has been my survival job. Meaning, I dropped out of college so I could work. Did I want to drop out of college? Yes and no. But at the time, my identity was tied to sports. And when I stopped playing sports, I genuinely didn't know who I was. So my third year of college, I'm not really playing sports like I used to. My parents just told me that they can no longer afford me, so they can't pay for my college tuition. So now I don't have sports. I can't go back to school because I am not working. I've never had a job. Who am I without these things? And that's when I entered the workforce and got my first real adult job at, I think it was like, I just turned 20. I've told this story before in more detail. You can go to my YouTube channel, Transaction Care, to hear that. And I'm sure I've talked about it on this podcast. But my identity was so tied into sports back then and school, being a student, that when it came to being an adult in the real world, I didn't know what I was doing. So I just took the first job that was offered to me. And it just so happened to be in real estate. Although I don't believe, God makes mistakes, I don't. I think everything happens for a reason. And working in real estate has took me on this wild ride for the past 21 years. And I could talk for days about everything that went down. I'm going to try to tell as many stories on this podcast as I can and relate them into situations that can help us versus hurt us, like it did me in the past. But ultimately, I got into the workforce. I started working my 9 to 5. I was happy. Imagine being 20 years old and I think I was making like $20 an hour at the time. I think we just got minimum wage to be $20 an hour in 2025. Like, this was 2004, 2005. So I was balling. For a young college kid working a few hours, I thought I was rich. And for a college kid, I was. But I had no financial literacy. I didn't know what a budget was. I didn't know anything. I just knew, here's some money, Mom. Here's some money for stuff I enjoy. But then things hit the fan. I buy my dream car. I'm living on my own. And all of a sudden, the recession hits. I'm now running out of money. I don't have a college degree. I don't really love real estate, but it's filled the space in between my, what do I need to do? I need to make money and I'll figure it out later. So I'd been figuring it out later for, at that point, another 4 years, a whole entire 4 years. And when that job was taken away from me, I sobbed, I cried, I was so sad. But I found the light at the end of the tunnel. I found a tunnel, first of all. I found the out of the tunnel. And I realized, okay, this is a moment for me to go back to school, finish what we started, and take it from there. At the time, everyone was saying just, apply for unemployment. So I did. And I survived off of unemployment until I couldn't. But in between then, I was promoting parties. I was having fun and making money, doing stuff I enjoyed in the music industry. And I was living my best life until life got real again. The unemployment dried up. I needed to work again. At this point, I was facing my car. I was missing payments. It got really bad. And I happened to be at a happy hour and saw my old coworkers and people had left and there was openings. And I said, hire me back. So they hired me back. And once again, I put myself back into a space that was still tied in survival. But I get it. We all have to eat, right? But when the job is all said and done, I still didn't know who I was. So back to the statement. If I'm not working, who am I? When I'm alone, who am I? And in those few months when I was unemployed, I discovered so much about me, but it scared me to make that a career because I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the mindset. I was still so very young. At this point, I'm only 24, 25, already dealing with grown-up problems, facing eviction, repossession, so many things, credit card debt at 25. Can you believe that? So if I had known back then about these tips I think I would have been in a different place. But as I mentioned earlier, I do believe things happen for a reason. And if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be able to share that with you all, with the masses, and help so many more people that might be in this situation or to potentially avoid this situation. Outside of work, or even outside of a specific person or thing, who are you when you stand alone in this world, when the money's not coming in, or if it is coming in? I used to attach my identity to my income as well. I still have a little residual PTSD from being self-employed and income being like a roller coaster, but I'm working on it. But I'm aware now. I don't tie my identity to these things, these jobs, these people, and that's made a world of a difference. And that's also because of my next point, hobbies. In my spare time, I like to do insert hobby here. Or when I say the word hobbies, what came to your mind? I'm sure there's like a laundry list of things that you've always wanted to try or go back and start doing again. So what are those I will always make time for, insert hobby here, things that you would like to do? And you're probably wondering, what does hobbies have to do with my career and my job or my business? It has a lot to do with it. When I started inserting basketball back into my life, whether it was watching it, talking about it, playing it, I noticed a light in me that had been dim or turned off for so long that when it came back on, whether it started to flicker and then eventually became this bright light in my life, I approached my day with more energy, with more motivation, and the desire to just show up for me, for my clients, for anything and everything I touched in that day. I was ready to work because I had this new, almost like a new lease on life. Like something had been missing. I just couldn't figure out what it was. And I wasn't filling my own cup. Hobbies led me from playing basketball in the mornings just as a way to stay in shape to me challenging myself and saying, is this work I still really want to do? And if so, are there ways that I can improve and be better? So I'm not dragging my feet to my desk every morning or every afternoon, dreading the next morning. So when you do things that you enjoy or try new things that you've never done, it opens up a part of us that had been dormant. And for me, at least, I can't speak for everyone. When those parts of you that have been quiet, stagnant for so long start to get charged up and re-energized, it makes you question your life choices. And sometimes that can lead to almost like a state of depression because you're like, oh my God. And again, I'm only speaking from my own perspective and my experience, but if you can relate, then you know what I'm talking about. When you kind of have those moments of reflection and you start doing things you enjoy and you look back and think, oh man, I could have been having this type of fun this whole time, but I chose to work overtime, or I chose to say yes instead of no and set boundaries. No, I think something's got to change. And in those moments when you feel like something's got to change, that's when you take action. Instead of thinking, dang, I guess that's the rest of my life. Everybody got choices, right? So if you have a hobby you're interested in, for me, if it helps, I'll give you a list of things I'm interested in. I love sports. As I mentioned earlier, I was a student athlete. But as I'm getting older, I played basketball and I reintroduced that into my life, which then led me to playing tennis and golf and eventually doing step aerobics. Step aerobics was so out of my comfort zone, but overcoming that challenge and those fears and the stage fright, even from having to move my body in ways I'm not used to in front of other people. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you the benefits that's had in my actual life outside of those classes and with my business. I felt more empowered. I felt more light. I felt lighter, and I just wanted more. I was like, whatever this feeling is, I like it. I don't like when I'm sitting on my couch stuck with nothing to do. And if money is an issue, look up. This was a free class I was taking every Saturday. So there's no excuses to help yourself. You just got to take action and keep practicing until it becomes a part of your lifestyle. With that said, my next point is your personality. Who are you? Know yourself. Are you introverted, doing an extroverted job, or the other way around? Are you someone so loyal that you never learned how to break away or walk away because you're scared or to hurt someone's feelings? Those are just a couple of examples, but if those resonated with you or hit you or struck you, or you feel like I'm reading you right now, then let's talk about it. It may not even be the 9-to-5 that you need to escape. Your freedom may already exist. You probably just need a different job, a different environment. Not everyone is meant to be a business owner. Not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. Some people are best in the background. Some are better at speaking. It isn't to say that we can't have and develop all of those skills and become those things, but when you're starting fresh and starting over, knowing yourself is so key, because how you show up for your definition of success, knowing your identity outside of work, outside of money, and being able to enjoy your time with hobbies that will bring out your personality and allow the true you to shine, and knowing who that is within you, tell me that's not an asset that can take you so further in life and in the workforce, or even just with your relationships with your family, your friends, etc. Knowing who you are, your personality, those are skills. You should be using those to your advantage instead of just labeling yourself, oh, I'm shy. I could never own a business. I'm too shy. Okay, then you're going to have to hire someone that isn't shy. Okay, next scenario. I don't like public speaking. I'll never be able to do that job. Who said there's any public speaking involved? And if there is, okay, hire a speech coach. Hire a confidence coach. Hire me as your coach. We will get there. I didn't talk from kindergarten to first grade in school. I could talk. I just chose not to. I mean, I was an anxious little child, and I learned later that that was called selective mutism, but I worked on it little by little. Even if it took me months, years, decades, I worked on it, because deep down, beyond that anxious little kid was someone that loves to make people laugh, that loves to help others, that loves to speak and talk and take their life experience and share it with the world in hopes that it makes an impact. I've always been like that, but my shyness, my anxiety, my shame, my embarrassment of looking dumb or sounding dumb held me back from so many things. And that goes back to my point with identity. I often tied myself to this label of I'm shy, I'm scared, I'm anxious. Why was I living in those spaces? I had to evict myself from those spaces and realize, no, you're outgoing. And it's okay to be a mix of being introverted and extroverted. Because when it's time for me to be social and go network and talk to people, I can do that. But I'm not that 100% of the day or the week, the month. It's when it's needed. And when I go back to being introverted or shy, I can do that and not have any shame or regret. So for you, get to know yourself. It's okay to question the choices you've made, not in a negative way or to look at it now as a regret. No, I look at everything as an opportunity to improve, an opportunity to celebrate, an opportunity to switch, pivot, quit, whatever you got to do. But knowing who you are and your personality will help you to choose a career path better suited for you. Many of you want to be transaction coordinators because you think it equals freedom. Freedom starts from within, and then you work your way around that and with that knowledge. The freedom comes from you taking action on your goals, and creating systems so that your dreams can come true. But if you're extremely shy, or if you're extremely disorganized, or you're extremely extroverted, I don't think being a transaction coordinator is for you. Maybe starting off as a realtor or a virtual assistant, a personal assistant, and then niching down, getting more into the intricate details of a specific job. Everyone starts somewhere. I didn't start off as a transaction coordinator. I started 21 years ago as an office admin because I needed money to survive. So what personality traits can you bring into your next career choice and use them to your advantage, to leverage them? There's no wrong answers because it's your life. It's you. The more authentically you are you, the better off you'll be. I believe that. Which brings me to my last and final point. If you're still here, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do want to emphasize I offer one-on-one coaching. So if any of these areas have spoken to you, have stood out, or you want to just flesh them out a little deeper, reach out to me, thekeyswork@gmail.com. We can schedule a discovery call, consultation. I can talk to you about my coaching services, and we'll go from there. Give yourself an opportunity to invest in yourself. It'll always be worth it. Which brings me to my last and final point is money confidence. Money confidence. You know how many times I've allowed money to stop me from doing certain things? I mentioned earlier, I'm tackling my debt right now. So I'm on a budget. I'm not really on this summer traveling hype tour that I usually am on. I'm being disciplined. I'm in the house. I'm saving my coins. I'm paying down my debts. But I also don't go out as much as I used to, which can be a little dangerous for my mental health. So yesterday, and this is an example that just happened yesterday. I was invited to go out with some family to be a tourist in our own city. And I didn't reply right away because I was thinking about my budget. I was thinking about all the things. And I was like, well, if I go out, I'm probably going to spend all this money, blah, blah, blah. And I almost let that part of me stop me from just going out and spending time with my family. The idea of going outside means I could lose money scared me, instead of thinking it from a more positive perspective. Okay, well, if I go out, I get to create memories. I get to allow the sun to touch my face. I can go be a tourist in my own city. If I do spend money, I don't have to spend every single penny in my bank account. Let me give myself a budget. Okay, $30. I can spend $30 or not in the next 4 hours and be okay. And I did just that. I bought me a nice little sandwich from one of my favorite spots at Pier 39 and a fun dessert from the donut shop that I love going to when I am out there. $30, boom. And hours and a lifetime of memories. But I almost kept myself from doing that because I felt like, I don't have the money. I'm on a budget. I shouldn't be spending money. It's not like I'm doing that every single day. There are so many things I sacrificed and said no to this summer for the sake of being disciplined. But sprinkling in a little joy here and there and not tying my identity to money and freeing myself from that, because deep down I know I crave socializing. Believe it or not, as someone that started off very shy, I do crave to socialize with people and being in big environments with lots of people. I like that. I don't run away from those situations. But again, I don't need them every single day. So in this moment, I said yes. And then come Monday, I'm way more confident in my spending, in myself. Because I know, okay, at the bare minimum, as long as my basic needs are taken care of, this is the number I need to survive. Knowing my numbers, knowing that I don't need to make $10,000 right out the gate after I quit my job. Knowing that, okay, well, what if I do make that $10,000 out of the gate, or it looks like I'm going to have a $10,000 month? How am I going to spend that money? Am I going to blow it on 10,000 of my favorite sandwiches? Or am I going to learn how to be more financial literate and make wiser decisions so I don't fall back into my old ways when I first got my job and was in survival mode and got my car repossessed and could barely afford rent? Right? So again, opportunities, they're everywhere. So when it comes to money confidence, if you're in the process of transitioning your careers or considering quitting your job to start a business, or maybe you're tired of your business and you want to go back to the 9-to-5 world, at the very basic, at the bottomest of bottom numbers you can figure out. What is that number? Your survival number. So if you're not getting as many hours or as many clients as you want at first, it's okay. Because at least if I make, let's just say for example purposes, your survival number is $2,000 a month and all your basic needs are met, you're not fighting and pushing to make $10,000, $20,000 right out the gate. You alleviate some of that pressure. And then you have a plan to keep growing and not get stagnant in that. But if you can survive off of that for the rest of your life and be happy, more power to you. Less is often more. You hear me? Less is often more. Quality over quantity. So with all that said, I hope this episode resonated with you. I want to go into a much deeper dive with these topics with you all in the future, with guests. So stay tuned. Please follow along. Leave a rating if you can. I really appreciate all your feedback. It helps me to improve the quality of the show, as well as how I run my business and how I can better serve you all in the future. And if you would like to work with me one-on-one and hire me as your coach, or at least get some consulting, simply visit thekeyspodcast.com, schedule a discovery call, or purchase a consultation. I'm here to help. I'm available. The calendars are open until they're not. So act swiftly and remember to invest in yourself, because it's always going to be worth it. I'm going to close out the show with a song lyric from the group Salt. The song is called Never Feel Fear. And it goes, dreams will fly by if you don't set yourself free from all the things you have been through. Let me say that again. Dreams will fly by if you don't set yourself free from all the things you have been through. And with that said, this has been another episode of the Keys Podcast. My name is Lillian Hernandez. Thank you again for tuning in, for choosing me week in, day in and day out. If you're binging, if you're just now finding me, or if you're just tuning in on a weekly basis, I truly am grateful and appreciate you from the bottom, top, side to side of my heart. So until the next episode, thank you again. And this has been the Keys Podcast.